Hello, once again, everybody. Andrew Rogers here, the Western Ontario Super Hockey League podcast. Just before we get underway here, quick news. This past week, our hockey community was hit pretty hard as a former member of the Stratford Warriors, Carter Schoonerwood, passed away suddenly this past Monday. He was 19 years of age. Carter is the beloved son of Joe and Heather Schoonerwood, loving brother of Erica, Danielle, and Brienne, cherished grandson of Luke Schoonerwood and Beth Terpstra. He will be missed by his aunts, uncles, cousins, special friend Julia Code, as well as his many friends. Carter, he loved all the sports, especially hockey, and his favorite places were the arena and spending time at the shack. Like I said, he was 19 years of age. Carter loved the game. He loved hockey. He played his hockey career for the Huron-Perth Lakers. He played for the Listowel Cyclones. He played for the St. Mary's Lincolns and again for the Stratford Warriors. So with that being said, we dedicate this edition of the Western Ontario Super Hockey League podcast to 19-year-old Carter Schoonerwood. May he rest in peace. From all of us at the Western Ontario Super Hockey League, we send our condolences to the family, and we are deeply saddened by these tragic events.
The following is a presentation of the Western Ontario Super Hockey League.
Yes, welcome back. We are here for another edition of the Western Ontario Super Hockey League podcast, episode number 10. I am, of course, Andrew Rogers, your host of the podcast. Thank you very much for joining me once again. Thank you very much for joining and tuning in. We have another great podcast lined up today with an unbelievable guest. He is the newest announced recruit, commitment of the Elora Rocks of the Western Ontario Super Hockey League, goaltender Edward Davey. Edward comes from the WOAA, Shelburne Muskies, where he spent the last 6 seasons. He is an unbelievable talent goaltender-wise, and he is an unbelievable person off the ice. He's just an all-around good guy. I've had the pleasure of having him on a podcast previously. He's just great to be able to talk about the game, about hockey, about life in general. Just a fantastic ambassador, and we as a league are absolutely stoked to have him. I'm going to introduce him here shortly. Of course, if you guys want to go to all of our social media and make sure to follow along, you can do that at these links here, as well as make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel to get all the latest updates on the podcast, and to make sure to check those out. Also, make sure, guys, if you do want to check out all the latest happenings, you can also go to our website. That's www.woshl.com. So without further ado, we want to get to our conversation for this edition of the podcast, episode number 10, with goaltender of the Elora Rocks, Edward Davey. We introduce him now. And we are pleased to be joined at this time by the newest recruit, the newest commitment to the Elora Rocks, former Shelburne Muskies goaltender, Edward Davey. Great friend of the show. It's great to see you, Eddie. Thanks for doing this, and welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Andrew. I was looking forward to it, and I look forward to actually getting back on the ice for the most part.
Yeah, no doubt. That is the biggest thing, right? I think for a lot of guys is the long layover. I think that's a huge part of it. And the excitement factor, obviously, is just a wow factor. I think at this point, it's just like, all right, let's get going. Let's hit this ground running, and let's see what this new league is all about.
Oh, no doubt at all. I mean, I'd take any ice time that I can get at this point. A few times this summer.
Right.
And over the last year and a half, whenever we could get on there. But been few and far between, and yeah, I am ready to just get in, get going, and pads on, get going.
Right on, man. Well, like I say, it's great to have you here. I know we've done a podcast before in the past, and it's just great being able to talk and shoot the breeze on hockey and all things hockey related. It's just a pleasure to speak with you. So let's talk about the big thing. Obviously, you're the newest announced recruitment to the Elora Rocks of the Western Ontario Super Hockey League. kind of take us through how that all kind of came to fruition. Was it was it an extended process? Like, was it a fairly easy decision on your part? Take us through that.
No, for sure. So where I'm at in life is I've graduated my master's in social work. I am currently covering a contract position for a mat leave at the Mount Forest Hospital.
Okay.
Social worker at the hospital. So that's obviously not a forever gig. It's a great experience and great references coming out of it. But I do eventually want to get into a school board setting as a social worker.
Okay.
And me and my fiance, we really like Guelph. We like the Guelph area. We've liked it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, money-wise, it's a little bit more expensive, but it's it's kind of got everything we've ever wanted in like kind of a location. And again, with social work, it's the ground floor. It's great. There's tons of opportunity there. She's actually currently in school right now. She went back for project management.
Okay.
That could pretty much, she can do that, find that anywhere. So with me wanting to, but us looking to relocate basically to Guelph, this opportunity came around. I reached out to Mitch. I did see that the new league was starting up. I was thinking about doing this, regardless of a new league or not. I was thinking about doing this switch at some point because I know eventually I will be living in Guelph, and I didn't want to lose a spot or lose the opportunity if I waited too long.
Right.
It was heartbreaking to make the decision. I've been on Muskie for 6 years. Nothing but respect for that organization. I've had great times, great successes. We went from my first year there, we were a bottom feeder team, to my last year there, we came in second place.
Right.
Blood, sweat, and tears I put into that team, and it was reciprocated and everything. It was great. So making that decision, the decision itself wasn't tough because we knew our location and what we wanted to do and future plans. It was the going through with the decision, letting first the management know on Shelburne, and then making that phone call, and then I drafted up a 4 or 5 paragraph email that I emailed out to the team. That was one of the hardest things to write.
Right.
Because I've grown relationships with all these guys, and we've gone to war. We've gone to war together every weekend for the past 6 years. That it's tough to say goodbye, but at the end of the day, it was either I was really considering hanging up the pads if this opportunity didn't provide itself. Like, it was, I didn't want to do that, obviously, but it's just I'm 31 now, and I didn't want to drive from Guelph area the hour and a half, hour 40 minutes to Shelburne even for a practice. So it just made sense down the road. And then when I saw this opportunity, and I reached out to Mitch, and I knew when I saw Mitch taking over the team like that, I saw what he did with starting lineup. I saw what he did with his business, and how efficient he ran that. Right from the ground floor up, and I think he's doing a great job with it. So I know for a fact he's going to do a great job running this team, and I knew with his backing it would be a good opportunity. So I reached out to him. The chips fell pretty quick after that. Like, it just boom, boom, boom after that.
Right.
But yeah, the hardest part was letting the Muskies know, and yeah, so that's all done. I know I've talked with a few of the guys that reached out to me.
Yeah.
Some of the management has reached out to me, and we parted ways on good notes, which is good. And I'm just super excited. Looking forward to getting into a new adventure with a new great group of guys, and can't be more excited. Yeah.
Excellent, man. No, you just tell by the way you're talking about it that you're excited, and I think that's just amazing. I mean, obviously, the excitement in this league, it's contagious. You ask anybody and they'll tell you the same thing. It just seems like the way people are talking about it, the way they envision this season to go, if it goes anything like just a shred of how people are expecting it to, it's going to be really something special to be a part of. Would you say that had some influence to you as well? Like, just knowing, okay, this could be something really cool to be involved from the start.
Absolutely. I've been a member of the WAA for 6 years, and I mean, it does a great job with the amount of funding it has and the amount of money that kind of goes into it. It's tough. They're small towns. I know it's tough there, but I've had great times. And when I looked, and I mean, I spent 6 years. We didn't really even have a website, which nothing against that. I know funding stuff. I totally understand that. But
right.
When I was looking around at the WOSHL website, I checked out the EOSHL and how it was running, and I kind of got a feel for, with the people in the back end and people behind the scenes, how much work they're putting into it to make the league not just run well in terms of making games happen and making, putting teams on the ice.
Right.
They're also making it a good experience for the fans and
course.
a good platform to kind of for fans and players to kind of unite, and it's just a little bit different than just home games where you get to kind of high five the fans after a game.
Right.
I'm feeling like with social media that we're utilizing and some of the, say with this podcast and everything like that, I feel like we're going to reach out to fans a little bit more.
Yeah.
Be a little bit more personable with fans, and I think that's with me being 31 years old, and I've had a career. I played NCAA, I played junior A all through.
Right.
So obviously, and a lot of that playing like that was playing for myself and trying to get somewhere and trying to make something of myself, make a name for myself, and advance my career. But being 31, and I still have the talent, and I still have the drive, but I have the mental, the mental fortitude per se,
right,
to understand that the game at this point isn't just about me, and it's not just about me putting numbers up or wins on the board.
Right.
My boys do whatever. It's also about the fans. It's about their experience.
Of course.
And that's a huge part to me. So being able to interact and have them, have our stats up online and some videos and blogs and vlogs and this podcast. And I know those are all opportunities we're looking at. That excites me. That excites me to be a part of.
Yeah.
I know that right now there's only 6 teams, which is a good way to start, because you start, you build up. That's like any business. You start
absolutely
small and you build on it. So I'm excited to get in early, get in now, and be a leading voice, or be one of the voices that kind of helps grow this league. And from what I've played in a lot of leagues throughout my career. I played junior A in the OJHL. I played junior A in the NOJHL. I played NCAA down in the States. I played AAA all through, Double A. So I've seen leagues, and I've seen how different leagues are run, and I, in my own opinion, I understand what works, what doesn't. So I think I can bring a little bit to the table on my understanding of the game and what I think. And it would be cool to kind of, while this league's growing, to kind of have a voice and be able to impart some of my, I don't want to say wisdom, but impart some of my, knowledge and experience that I have,
of course,
throughout the years that I've done, and be able to be, a big part of this league.
Absolutely, dude. No, and like I say, again, speaking of as a person who knows you, who knows your background with WA and has followed your career in that league, having someone like yourself come into this new league and be a representation of that league, this new league going forward, is just nothing but positive in my opinion. Again, like, not only that, but like you say, it's not just from the guy off the ice, but the guy on the ice, because you're a tremendous talent. And what I think this league is going to really shine the spotlight on for a lot of players through different things, social media being the one, is obviously a big part of it, because we want to make sure that all the players and all the teams and the communities are getting all the recognition that they deserve. But also at the end of the day, like, having the streaming service, that's a big one, because I think a lot of people are really going to enjoy the fact that if they can't make it down to the rink, they're still going to be able to see their local talent play their games on whatever night they happen to play on.
Absolutely.
So no, that's definitely very exciting.
My old man, he moved up to Kawartha Lakes, up to Sturgeon Lake, out near Lindsay.
Okay.
So he's about 2.5 hours away. So he was doing what he could to get up to some games, and he was seeing probably 2 to 3 games a season, maybe some playoff games.
Right.
But yeah, like when we had the streaming and you could watch games online, juniors and NCAA, he loved it. So he was always tuning in. I'd always get him chirping my ear after the game, telling me whatever. Keeps me on my toes. So it's nice that he can tune in from so far away and be able to watch. I'm sure he'll get to some games up in Elora. He's got some friends there, which is kind of cool.
Awesome.
Which it's nice that he can see the games online and be able to keep up. And yeah, I'm super excited with it. And I got some friends like I used to play with it, and they would tune in too. So that's a really cool aspect too.
And obviously, yeah, like, I mean, I know Mitch and Rich have done a great job in since, kind of taken over the reins of Elora, and they've made some player commitments, announcements anyways. Is there anyone that kind of sticks out to you that they've announced so far that you're kind of really intrigued to see what it'll be like to play alongside them?
Well, I'm just actually super excited to play with my goalie partner there, Colin Dunn.
Yeah.
I played against him. We played, I think, last 2 years. I believe it was 2 years. Don't quote me.
Okay.
1 year. Might have been just the one. But I always noticed yellow pads, and I loved his gear. He was asking me, like, because I got new pads last year, and we were actually talking to warm ups, and he's like, I need those colors. So like a really good guy, and he's got skill, and I'm actually excited to partner up with him, and we can do what we can bring on the ice, and what we can learn from each other, and kind of create a partnership that way. It's always good starting up in a team with especially as a goalie. Getting along with your partner and kind of working off each other, building off each other, pushing each other in practice, and but keeping it light and keeping it motivational and positive. And that's something that I'm looking forward to. Hope we can get off right off the hop with.
Absolutely, it's going to be a lot of fun just to see how teams kind of come out of the gate off that first or second week, anyways. And again, speaking as someone who knows kind of yours and Colin's background, like, if I had to say from even an outsider's perspective with no bias whatsoever, I'd say that you guys are pretty strong 1-2 punch in the nets. And obviously, if anybody who knows hockey knows that to formulate a winning team, it starts with the goaltending. You got to have good goaltending. You got to have guys that are going to stop the puck. Doesn't matter how many goals you score, but as long as you can stop enough to make to make a difference, then you're going to get more wins than losses in that case.
Well, I 100% agree with that, and I think it's ironic. In the NHL, they're always saying how, they talk about Bobrovsky's contract sucks, but you see Price in the contract, and all you hear is how bad his contract is, but on the flip side, you hear the goalie, all the podcasts are all saying like the goalie's the most important position, but yet then their next side is his contract's too much. They like pay him less, cheap, bring him in cheap, and it's such a battle between everybody what a goalie brings. But I think
100%
a goalie with a strong fortitude attitude, mental wise, and be able to block things out and compartmentalize, and any goalie that can do that doesn't they're even keel, they don't go too high, they don't go too low. If you can bring that to the table, you can get through a lot of slumps or even like winning streaks where you get too high on that pedestal. One loss can knock you down a few rings. That
you got that right.
So with age and with experience, I think mental fortitude really comes, and that's I've always had like the kind of the flexibility. I've always had the angles. I've always had like the physical side of the game, but with age and and especially having the Muskies back me so much like they have for the last 6 years, and finally having a team that really stuck with me through thick and thin. I was the mainstay there for 6 years. Really helped me gain all the confidence that I have as well. That allowed my mental side of the game to really advance, and I'm really excited actually this year to see that flourish, because it is something that I know I bring to the table now with being over the hump of 30, and have a lot of good years behind me and a lot of experience behind me, that I think the mental side of the game is something that I'm excited to bring to this team.
Absolutely. No, that'll be really fun. Speak a little bit about this idea, because the hockey can be labeled as a brotherhood, right? I mean, that's a huge part of it in terms of being able to be a part of a team, be a part of a group. I know a lot of guys, they'll say the thing they love most about hockey is seeing the guys and being with the boys and just being able to go to the rink and play a game that you love. And at the end of the day, try and fight towards something that's meaningful, that means something, that's going to be, such a big win in the end. Like, speak a little bit about that. And I guess kind of what that means to you when you think about it.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely huge to me. That's the reason we all play hockey. That's the reason we play team sports. I mean, I like to golf as well, and it's a very individual sport. And, as being a goalie, it's nice to be able to go out and grab the golf clubs. If I have a bad game, there's nobody I'm really letting down. At the same time, I hit a birdie. There's no one that I'm really. I'm only doing that for myself, and it seems not selfish, but it's nice to make that big glove save, or make that save that turns momentum into a goal.
100%.
Celebrate. Like that's a huge part of the team atmosphere. Be able to crack a cold one with the guys after a win. That beer never tasted better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's the team aspect has always been huge for me, and I'm excited to get back into it. I mean, it's been a year and a half or more since we've had any sort of team atmosphere.
Right.
That I'm just really excited to get back with a group of dudes that have one common goal in mind, and to be able to work our tails off all year just to kind of accomplish that goal, or do as best as we can to get there. And especially with this league being new and a lot of guys new faces, and get to grow together. It'll be really interesting, and it'll be an experience for sure. So, I mean, at this point, like I'd say our common goal as the group would be to win the championship. But as we get going into it, smaller goals come into play, and let's win these 2 this weekend, or
right.
Let's go 3-0 on the road in the next 3, or stuff like that where you can work towards. So it's not just if you don't end up winning that championship that first year, it's not the be all end all. It's those small battles, and of
course,
that you go through as a team and you go through as a unit that they really bond you. And,
right.
You say you accomplish your goal of 3 wins on the road, and you have that next practice, and it's just that next practice seems so jovial because you as a unit you accomplished what you set out for.
Right.
And it's just nice to get back with the guys in that practice, work on stuff, and have that positive atmosphere around it. I really look forward to getting back into that kind of stuff.
No, absolutely. There's nothing like a compete. There's nothing like a drive. There's no better feeling in the world than that. I mean, obviously, I think one of the big questions that'll be answered, like obviously under the whole pandemic and obviously we got the ease and restrictions, which is a great sign moving forward. That's excellent. The question is always when we get there, what's the fan attendance going to be like? How many people are going to be allowed in the building, so on and so forth? What's the kind of feel of it going to be in the rink? I mean, obviously playing in front of no fans is one thing, and playing in front of little fans is another. But playing in front of a packed house, which you can speak to a little bit because I know some of the crowds in Shelburne are pretty darn impressive, and the way they put on a game is second to none. So, speak a little bit about that, I guess, as a goalie. What is that like as a goalie playing in front of passionate fans night in and night out?
Well, you feed off it, without doubt. When I began my tenure as a Muskie, we weren't that good.
It happens.
Like a rebuild, and so we slowly, as we kept winning and kept putting more and more passion into it, the fans kept coming back and back and back. By last year, we were packed in the house, and it was awesome to see. But I've played in front of crowds that are very minimal, and it's just a different feeling. Or other teams in the league where we'd play away games in their barn, where it's just there was not a lot of fans. You just feel it. You feel
right.
A lack of electricity or a lack of energy. Even though they wouldn't be our fans, the energy wouldn't be coming towards us. You still, even as a road team, you feel it. You feel that.
Right.
It just sucks the air out when there's no one to cheer for a big save or a big goal or a big hit.
Of course.
But and what I'm thinking is with the pandemic, with it being so long, I know the fans in Elora, they want to get back out there.
No doubt.
They'll come in droves, especially with this being a new league. Everything about it is new, and being able to get back in the rink and watch a hockey game is new. Will feel new.
Right.
I can see our home opener just being a packed house. I can already vision it, and I know.
Oh, absolutely. Wouldn't that be fun to get the nod in that one, eh?
Absolutely. And with the way this team, I believe, is going to market, especially with the social media that we're utilizing and getting our name out there.
Right.
The game will be known about around town and talked about for from now until then. So I'm sure people will know, will be there to support, and will be excited to, get back into it and support their local team and be in a crowd. It's not easy to get Toronto Maple Leaf tickets these days.
No, you're right.
So to be able to come in your local town and kind of support your boys, and I just know the home opener is going to be absolutely packed. So
you're right. Yeah, it's good. It's going to be so much fun when we finally cross that bridge. It's really interesting that this idea has been floated around of late, is this idea of the first 6, right? So it's a little bit of a spin-off on the original 6. Not to say we're ever going to get to a point where we got 32 teams in the league. I don't think that's realistic, but the growth of this league is going to be very important, especially in that first year. And I think really the interesting thing that I find is that the sky's the limit here, because, we can really kind of have this first year to do a lot of things and test a lot of things to see if it works or see if it doesn't. But have it just the endless possibilities is enough to be excited and to get your skin just jumping right out off of your body, standing up your arm hairs. It's so exciting just to talk about it, let alone being in the moment of that team and that direction.
Well, yeah, any good thing grows from the ground up. So
right.
If we had started with 15, 16 teams right off the hop, it'd be very hard to get the dynamics and the infrastructure of the league to kind of work.
True.
With 6, you can you can, implement different things. You can try different things. You can see what works and what doesn't with 6 and be able to manage it. And then if it works, you continue that process. If it doesn't work, it's not, you don't have 16 teams implementing it, something that doesn't work. You only have 6 where we can,
right.
You can work with that. So it's starting with 6. I think that's a smart move to build from the ground up, prove the concept. Once you prove the concept that this is needed and wanted, and the social media aspect of it, the fan relatability aspect of it is a huge addition, I'd say.
Yeah.
That I think other towns, other smaller towns, other teams will be interested in joining and being a part of this as well. And I think the first year is huge for us to come out of the gate hot and just prove the concept and prove that this kind of league is going to flourish. And I know it will. I have no doubt it will.
Oh, yeah.
It's doing it the right way and doing it, step by step and not running before you can walk, So
Absolutely.
The way they're doing it is the way it should be done.
Absolutely. No, it's like I say, it's just the energy is contagious, and we want the enjoyment to be contagious as well for anyone who wants to hop on board. We're speaking with the Elora Rocks newest recruit, newest addition, announced commitment, Edward Davey, goaltender, former Shelburne Muskie. Eddie, it's so, like I say, this league is going to be great. Obviously, it's just it got so much energy. In terms of yourself, you spoke a little bit earlier about kind of what it is that really fuels you to keep playing at this age of 31. What is it about the game that you really enjoy, I guess, the most, that keeps you, I guess, coming back for more? There's got to be something in you that says, man, you know what? I can't let it go because of blank.
I mean, it's just a passion. I've done it my whole life. My old man was a goalie. I've been a goalie since I was 6 years old. It's just, you have a morning routine where you wake up, you brush your teeth, you have a shower, you get ready for work. That, part of my routine in my life is just, it's not like going to the rink as well. It is part of my, so before this pandemic hit, I was kind of thinking, I'm getting older, getting creakier bones. Maybe it's time to think about hanging it up. But what I think the luckiest and the best thing that came for me from this pandemic was seeing what it was like to hang it up without actually hanging it up.
Right.
And I've missed it more than I've missed anything in my entire life.
No doubt.
So I know that my passion still burns, and I'm not even anywhere near done.
Yeah. Probably got a gigantic sized itch that you've been just poking and prodding at.
Absolutely. So to get that understanding and to know, Eddie, you're not done yet. You got a lot more to prove. You got a lot more in you to give. That's what keeps you coming back. I know I have talent. I know I bring something to a team. I know that, but it's not just about that. It's about bringing that, but also being a part of that with the guys. And everybody brings a different element to a team sport that kind of, once you put all those elements together in the right aspect or the right, fit, that's what makes a championship team or just a solid level team. And
yeah,
it's nice to be a piece of that puzzle.
Right.
And I know I can be. I know there's tons left in me to be. So I'm just excited to get going and prove it to myself and prove to anyone that has any doubts. A 31-year-old.
Don't you worry, buddy. If you're looking for doubt from me, you're not going to find it. That's for damn sure. But no, it's so interesting. What I find interesting about this league. So you got some new teams. Obviously, you got Alvinston, Strathroy, Stratford, and Langton Royals. But then you got yourself with the Elora Rocks, and then the Tillsonburg Thunder. Couple AA movements there. So what's really interesting that I've found is that you have 4 teams that are starting from scratch. Essentially, they're bringing in a lot of people, from their junior careers that have just finished their junior careers and want to still play competitive hockey, which is great because we have that. This is their avenue for that. But then you have, like you say, your Tillsonburgs and Elora that have sort of this pre-existing roster already to kind of tinker with. And then obviously you have other players that have kind of gone from AA roots to new teams now, like Tyler Ryan, who's going to be playing for the Alvinston Killer Bees. And then you have Matt LeBarish, who's going to be playing for the Strathroy Jets. And when I had Matt on, I asked him about that. I said, well, what was that going to be like to play against your former Tillsonburg Thunder teammates? And he said, he thought that was really going to be interesting. What is your take on that? Do you think that'll be really an interesting angle to this new league, playing against people you're familiar with?
Yeah, so I know firsthand as a goalie, that's not always the funnest thing to do.
Of course.
So I am kind of thankful that the Muskies aren't in this league.
Yeah, right. You got that right.
They've shot on me quite a lot in practice, and I'm sure a few of them would want and love to get a few past me. So that's kind of I'm thankful for that, at least for the first year.
Sure.
But again, I played on leagues where back in the OJHL when I was traded from the Orangeville Crushers to the North York Rangers. We played Orangeville in the first round, and it didn't go overly my way. It was tough. I did find it tough to kind of, and I was young back then, so
sure, of course,
interesting concept now. But I found it tough when guys, guys very well. You think you know their tendencies, and they know your tendencies. It becomes more of a battle of not so much. It almost wits a little bit.
Right.
You know each other so well. Where,
of course.
You can do scouting on other teams and stuff like that, obviously, and I'm sure other teams have scouted me back in the WA there, but you don't, the human element of knowing them and seeing them every week in practice comes into play a little bit more when you know them so well. So I'm sure for me, I don't think there will be many in the league. I mean, like Tyler Ryan, I know absolutely know him, and I know there's guys that have shot on me, but it will still be more of a competitive nature rather than, we played. I know I did play a year with Tyler Ryan actually in the Muskies, but I don't really have that element so much coming to Elora for this year. But who knows what happens next year or in future years where other guys are coming into the league or the league grows,
right.
More teams come over or whatever happens. But at least for this year, it'll all feel new. It'll all have that new feeling to me.
No question. Yeah, that new car scent, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun to see what it all is like. I wanted to ask you kind of just if you like in terms of like, maybe a hockey memory that sticks out to you, like, something that you could say, like looking back on your hockey career, if there's this particular moment in time where you really kind of, that sticks out to you as one of your fondest hockey memories. Yeah,
no, for sure. My 20-year-old year of junior A in the NOJHL, where we had a crazy year. We ended up going 45-5.
Holy smokes!
38-2.
Oh wow!
Don't quote me. It's on Elite Prospects. It might be.
I believe you. I'll take your word on it.
Something along those lines. 38-2. I ended up getting top goalie of the year, and I actually set the record that year. It still stands for the NOJHL most wins by a goalie in a year.
Crazy.
That would be my best memory, but memory per se, like where it was actually a specific place and time, was Game 7 of the NOJHL Finals against the Sioux Thunderbirds.
Okay.
We had fire marshals coming in and no standing. It was crazy. It went absolutely nuts.
Oh wow!
We ended up winning that game, won the series, went on to the Dudley Hewitt Cup. We ended up we fed off that crowd, so I think we went 10-2.
Huh.
But yeah, it was a tight series right till Game 7 and 10-2 win. It was just that winning that like a junior A championship definitely is something that I'll never forget. And being piled on by the guys after that win, and just everything we battled for that year. And
yeah,
I know we had a very good season that year, but there were still ups and downs.
Of course,
where we went through as a team, and to come out on top like that, and to prove. It was Iroquois Falls is where we played. Iroquois Falls or Abitibi was where we played out of Iroquois Falls, which is a small town up near Timmins. And to people to go up against, say, the Sault Ste. Marie Thunderbirds as a small town team, Iroquois Falls, and win, that's a huge feat. And we had to support the entire town. There's banners all along the town. There was a parade in town. That was a really, really cool time that I'll never forget. And, obviously getting my hockey scholarship to the NCAA Westfield State Owls after that was awesome, and that was a great time. But I'll never forget that championship win. That was awesome. And I was really hoping with the Muskies that we were going to get there, and we had very good teams along the way. In the last couple of years, we definitely got a lot better and proved ourselves a lot more. But we just couldn't bring it to fruition, which is unfortunate. I know they're going forward. They're going to bring that championship to that town. I have no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
It's tough that I won't be part of it, but I do wish them all the best of luck with doing that.
Absolutely. They'll love to hear that, Eddie.
That town deserves that for sure. Like those fans, that management, the whole organization, all the guys coming back, and year after year showing that passion, and it's just that town deserves it. So I know it'll come, and when it does, I'll be the first one to be celebrating and to shoot text, and I'll be stoked when that happens.
Absolutely. And they got a beauty in Malcolm Young, your protege.
Oh, well, that's going off that too. For years on the Muskies, I didn't really have like somebody that could take the reins from me if I was to call it quits. And
right.
every summer, I thought maybe this is the year where I'm done. And every year I went into training camp, I didn't know. But what kept me really going back was I knew that I didn't have anyone to pass the torch off to.
Right.
But now I know without a doubt, without a fact, no question, like Ryan Mantle and Malcolm Young are two solid goalies. And
they're fantastic. And even better people too.
Oh, absolutely. So, and yeah, no question on that. And with the season only being 24 games long, it's and they're both starters. They're both starters in that league, no doubt. So to have a three starting system on a 24 game league, that's where I kind of, in my heart of hearts, I felt okay with passing that torch on.
100%. I get you.
And because I know for a fact they're gonna grab that net and run with it. They're ready. They've been ready for two seasons for sure. We've played together, and they're ready to do it. Like, there's no doubt. And
cool, yeah.
And I'm not saying I was in the way or I was nothing like that. But with this opportunity coming along and with them being ready to take the reins, I felt it was everything will kind of work its way and be okay. And I'm not leaving their team, like the Muskies, with nothing. I'm not leaving them where they're going to be scrounging for a goalie. They have two solid options. So
yeah,
this year was a good time to kind of, if it was going to happen, it was a good time for it to happen.
Perfect. Good for you, man. And it's, you know what? It's a hard thing to recognize when that time does finally come. I can't imagine the decision and having to make it. I don't envy you being in your position to make it. That's for darn sure. But anyway, dude, at the end of the day, Eddie, I'm just so happy you're joining this league. I'm so happy that you're part of the Elora Rocks. They got a world-class goalie in that organization. And, I'm excited to be a part of this. I'm excited to be a part of this podcast and doing this part of it. And definitely looking forward to coming out to some games and seeing you play and dominate like you always do. So you're a class act, dude. It's been a pleasure having you on here. So I thank you very much for coming on here and doing this for us. Thanks so much.
Hey, I appreciate having me, and I appreciate what you're doing too. I know you're going to do great things for this league. You were actually one of the reasons I decided on this decision.
Yeah, look at me, all the credit, man.
No. I thought you brought a lot to the table when you started up with the WA last year, doing what you could do. And I think with the added element of maybe a better platform behind you and a little bit more support in the back end for you, I think you're going to take that extra mile. And I'm super excited to see kind of what you make of this. So.
I appreciate that a lot, dude. Like I say, you're a stand-up guy, even better goalie, and we really appreciate you. We've been talking with Edward Davey of the Elora Rocks. Eddie, it's been a pleasure. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
This Western Ontario Super Hockey League podcast is brought to you by Joe's Diner. Come and enjoy Joe's all-day breakfast, located at 155 Erie Street in Stratford. Call 519-272-9933. And by Locker Room Lager. Dump and chill and enjoy these suds with your squad. Visit postgamebrewingco.com for details.
Well, once again, everybody, we want to thank Edward Davey for coming on the podcast this week, episode number 10. It was an absolute blast and a pleasure to talk with him. Like I said, he's just one of the great ambassadors of hockey in general, and this league is definitely better with him involved in the capacity now that he is as a member of the Elora Rocks. And that goaltending tandem over there is going to be very difficult throughout the course of the season between Edward Davey and Colin Dunn. It's just going to be a remarkable goaltending tandem, and it's going to be make the Elora Rocks very tough opponent. I want to thank our sponsors for the podcast, Joe's Diner out of Stratford, Ontario at 155 Erie Street. As well, I want to give a shout out to Locker Room Lager, Postgame Brewing Co. for sponsoring this podcast. It's absolutely great to have their backing, and we appreciate all the support. Once again, I want to thank you guys, the viewer, for watching and tuning in. I do really appreciate all the support. Really, guys, it means the world to me. So thank you very much for that. I am your host, Andrew Rogers, and we will be back next Saturday at 10 a.m. with another episode. It'll be episode number 11 of the Western Ontario Super Hockey League podcast. Until then, have a great weekend, everyone. Stay safe, stay warm, or stay cool, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.